Yes, yes, yes. As Joanne just said, she's just going to call in her team, and we say, team ready to assist. And so we are her higher selves, and her subconsciouses are here, and all her versions of self are very curious for this interaction today. So, how can we help you, Madame?
Well, good afternoon. We would like to call in Alice Bailey
Mhm.
and speak with her about her work.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yes, I have been summoned, and now I am here in this body. Interesting. Okay, so yes, how can I help you today?
Well, first, I'd like to say hello. And before we ask about your life on um, on Earth in the early part of the 1900s, I want to inquire as to where you are now.
Mhm. The aspect that you're speaking to is Alice, who is still living currently in the 1800s. So I am in a meditative state and connecting in with you now, which I find very interesting. It's almost like I am talking to a voice in my head, and this voice is asking me, what have I done in my past lives to get to be at this point in present time now?
Mm.
Interesting.
Mm.
Um,
Are you currently living in England?
mhm. Yes, I am in my very modest home. I'm scanning the home I'm in now and saying, well, yes, I'm in a much larger house than this one. So yes, I am residing in my home, um, and I am very, very comfortable in my own surroundings. So I'm very curious. What has brought me here today?
Well, I was wanting to speak to you about the books that you have written, um, particularly the ones in cooperation with the Tibetan Dewal Kul.
Yes.
I,
Mm.
but I don't believe you wrote those books until like 1919, perhaps.
Mm.
So that would be in your future. So
Mm.
what are you doing now?
I'm growing. I'm growing, and now I've just learnt that I'm going to be an author. So this is very intriguing times, um, which has given me confirmation, because even though I feel like this is just an imagination conversation that I'm having with you, it has given me great inspiration for the title of the book.
Mm. Have you begun your spiritual studies?
I don't think I ever was non-spiritual. It seems like it is consistently been a part of me. And I think this is why I struggled so much to want to be social for people, to people, for people. So I get a sense um, that you are questioning my whole life, and I'm now having to stop and think, well, have I always been spiritual? I feel like I have been aware of many things. I don't know if I would claim it to be spiritual. It seems like what is not religious is something else that is almost potentially frowned upon. So
Mm.
it is about trying to understand from my perspective what is actually going on in my head. What am I connecting to, and why am I being sensing and seeing all these things, especially in this meditative state? And so this is very interesting for me to have this connection, because this body feels very real, but I know I am simply laying in my own bed. This body feels more mature and different. I can feel the different tensions in this body. It is not my own body, and yet I can hear myself speaking through this this body, and it is interesting. It is peculiar. The accent is quite different, and I'm having to use the tongue in a different way than I normally would speak. So I'm finding this very interesting because, from my perspective, I am simply laying down in my bed, but I'm also having this, and I'm wondering if I am also speaking out loud in my room because I know I'm sitting up right now in this body. And so I am consciously aware of having two simultaneous bodies. I'm wriggling my toes in my bedroom, and then this has made this body that I'm talking to also move the toes. So this is very interesting.
Have you yet encountered the subject of theosophy?
Philosophy.
It's actually, it starts with the TH. If I'm saying it correctly, theosophy.
Theosophy. The theories of all principles of life.
Perhaps, I believe Madame Blavatsky was one of the teachers that I believe you may have been influenced by.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will focus now on my studies and to be able to retain. I get a sense that I am around 18 years old. So I don't quite know if I am able to be able to help with that. I can call and receive myself, and when we can call in an older version of myself, I sense something. Since you are so capable of connecting with me at this age, I could be able to. However, you can dial in or call in. I am sensing you are wanting the older version of me, even though I'm very curious and wanting to hear more about my future. I'm sensing that this may not be the most appropriate thing for me to do.
Well, I believe you have a wonderful future ahead. But yes, if we could dial ahead at, let's see, 3 decades, perhaps.
Oh, it's good to know that I live this long. Thank you so much for letting me experience this. This is quite phenomenal. I will take some time to understand this as I'm quickly feeling this body that feels so real right now. So thank you very much. I do get a strong sense that I'm not supposed to be privy to the next conversation. So I feel well.
Thank you.
Yes, this is the subconscious speaking, and yes, we can call on Alice when she is in much advancement of age, and to be able to help assist you with your questions today. So she is here with you now. Yes. Oh, well, this is marvelous because this is something that I experienced once before, and I instantly recognize where I'm at. And this makes me feel so confirmingly joyful to know that something that I experienced when I was much younger that was so profound to me and so extraordinary, I'm sensing right back here now. And I've waited for so long to experience this exact thing. I have been searching and seeking to be able to have got back into this. And now I realize with my wisdom how this all sort of works and how you can call on conscious minds to be able to have conversations. And so this is marvelous. I get a sense that this is still the same time frame for you. However, my time has jumped. But I am smiling from ear to ear, knowing that that was not a figment of my imagination. And I'm here. I am here to help as much as I can for your questions today.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm smiling ear to ear as well. I would like to ask you first about your life purpose for this lifetime. where you're writing all these books.
Yeah, yes. My life purpose is to be able to help people think for themselves a little bit more. The bold and the dashing information that I share is quite controversial, considering I am nearly just a female. And so it's about gaining the feminine divine information and wisdom back again, and putting myself in a role where I could be considered to be of equal value to men in my same genre of time and periods and information and connection. Of course, there is much to struggle with the non-equal values of each gender. So this is something I do not fuss and bother with. But this is part of the reason why I was a female, was to be able to still bring in my information and for people to actually see that females truly can do anything. So it's part of that movement about respecting women in all professions. If they are good at what they do, they should be respected regardless of gender. So that was one part of my purpose and my life contract to do that. Another part is to be able to connect people to thinking about the spiritual world, and to be able to understand it as not a negative thing, more an open, positive thing. I did feel that, and I do feel that the pressure of people not respecting my work because of my gender are frustrating, and that sometimes gets me down. And plus, the big controversial information that I am sharing with people, it's so easy to just shrug it off and say hogwash, instead of actually paying time and attention to the information that is provided for them. So it is, I feel like I'm venting, using you as my psychologist to be able to vent my life frustrations. My life purpose was also to just share information and try to get a woman to pick up books that are of this nature and not be afraid, and also for men to try and pick up these books and not to be afraid. So there's a lot going on there at such different times indeed. And it is my awareness that you are not even in the room right now. I am aware of the technology that is being used to even have this conversation with you, while I am now in my very comfortable chair, my reading chair. I am knowing that I am actually in and talking through this body right now, who is in quite a far place from where I live. And you are not even in this room where I'm talking. You are in another completely different place. This is very extraordinary, interesting times. And I think it is marvelous to be able to have this connection almost seeming simultaneously, while on different parts of the planet, while in different time zones, while in different time periods.
Yes, it's quite amazing. Did you have a life contract to work with the Tibetan known as Djwhal Khul?
Yes, yes, I'm assuming so. I'm still living through this life, so I'm assuming that this is what was provided to me for me to be able to have inspiration and to recollections to share our connection together. And the information provided, yes, I am assuming that it was purposeful. All of the connections that I've had, the good ones and the not so good ones, I would assume are contractual for me to experience the things that I need to overcome. So yes, I would assume so.
Yeah. Well, it's been said that you were initially reluctant to work with him, and I was wondering what your reservations may have been, and how that connection came about. If you could talk some about that relationship.
I guess at the time when we did meet, I was fully triggered by having to deal and to prove myself to men. And so when I had to be considered to work with another man, I was feeling very challenged and did not know if I needed to oversell myself or promote myself. I had such belief in my work and myself. I was not going to play house or to sell myself short or having to work harder than anyone else to get the respect. And so I didn't feel like I wanted to be kind, to be friendly. I kind of just wanted to be standoffish and see how that was going to unfold for him.
Mhm. So was it with your relationship with the Tibetan, how you were able to connect to the ageless wisdom, as it was called, and bring that forth in book form?
Mm. Yes, I was simply able to tap into a past life of mine and to be able to meditate deeply back into that past lifetime, to be able to know that information because I was an advanced, I want to say, monk who had already attained um, enlightenment.
Mm,
So this was another life that I wanted to experience to be able to help. I could see that after I had attained enlightenment, humanity was still struggling. And so it was a life contract that I came to live this life as a woman, to still be able to bring in the information to for people to grow and be remembered and reminded this information, and to bring it back again into common day. Well, ideally, it would have been fantastic if this had been common day conversations. So it was
mm,
about trying to remind people of the actual true purposes of lives and to not get stuck in the materialism and the consumerism and the pompous peer pressure that everyone was putting on themselves. So my time as Alice was purposeful. Oh, I've seemed to have slipped into a conversation with my subconscious at the same time, who has just told me more information about myself to confirm to myself what is going on. So this is very intriguing.
hmm, that's interesting. Well, it is said that you are one of the first to use the term New Age. Of course, that
Hmm. Yes. I wanted it to be a new era. I wanted it to be a clean slate. I wanted it to be a new age in time where people were able to leave the past behind and to focus on something that was more pure to oneself, soul, and to oneself, and knowing that materialism and peer pressure and all the challenges that you actually still are living with today actually do not serve you. And so I was trying to bring the Eastern religions and philosophies, which are still very pure, into the Western culture to be able to uh, share it with people who are heavily indoctrinated in other religions, which are self-serving to not anyone apart from the institutes of those religions at some degree. But it's all lessons and purpose. It was about making people stop and question what you've been schooled and encouraged to learn and accept. There needed to be more awareness, much more awareness.
mm. Well, I'm curious about the term ageless wisdom, if that is the the body of information that's been around since pre-Atlantis.
Hmm.
Um,
Ageless wisdom to me means really source. It means that that embodiment of wisdom that never ages, that is encompassing all. I was wanting to not refer to it as God, because I really didn't truly believe that there was just one man, of course, because I was so frustrated with, of course, it couldn't just be a woman, could it? Could it? Could it? It had to be a man. And so I was indoctrinated in my own stereotypical almost hatred towards women. And so I was rebelling my wisdom against that. And so I guess I was a very strong feminist, and quite stroppy when I didn't get my way. And if I wasn't getting my way, it was because potentially the problems I was having with that man was because I was a woman, not because of my belief systems. So I was quite the stroppy one, I must admit. And I still am here now being stroppy.
Could you share some of your perspective regarding the spiritual hierarchy?
Yes. Well, it was always about going within and being one, and contentment with one, knowing that we are all connected. And so it is about trying to snap people out of their indoctrinations with their religions, and to be able to stop being afraid of your God, and stop being afraid of not following the rules and the peer pressures that the Bibles were firmly telling you, and to be able to actually start thinking and feeling for yourself. And so from my experiences, I was connecting to a very strong past life because I had attained enlightenment. Part of my contract was to be able to have a very thin veil. And it was more about my old life, what I'd already successfully mastered, to bring it into this lifetime as Alice. But I also did have a lot of my personality and ego in there as well, so which was purposeful, and probably dialed in a little bit too firmly and strongly. I was a force to be reckoned with. I wanted people to take me seriously, so I did not play meek. I played very bold. I played a man's game to be able to get my work out there. And I think that almost drove me to be a bit frustrated and mad, because when I was seeing that not many people were taking on the information as much as I had wanted, remembering that my books, I could never see the influence that my books had created for people and how they had started their mindsets. So I was only able to witness the people that were around me, and that was frustrating because they knew my work and they still were not applying the work. And that was very challenging for me to be able to accept that. And that made me more frustrated than ever, because I wanted everyone to be able to stop with their nonsense of their lives that they were focusing on, and to be able to feed their soul, and to be able to have that infinite wisdom, that ageless wisdom that actually, when you attain that, you have inner peace that actually gives you much joy and much relaxation in your body. And suddenly your body is not fighting itself, because you're not fighting the system. You're not fighting against anything. You're at that beautiful place of neutral. So there is lots, and I am able now to be more of the subconscious of Alice speaking through this and helping. And we're noticing that other versions of Alice are still listening in to this conversation, who they didn't quite disconnect. They're eavesdropping in on this conversation, the 18-year-old who is quiet, and she is observing this. This is all fine. We are allowing these connections because she needs to have the confidence to be able to keep writing these books, because while unfortunately in her lifetime she did not see the true impact that her work had done, she was very successful in her mission to be able to make people stop and think, and be able to actually put some of this into application. So she did a much better job than she could even see herself. But unfortunately, this did make her into more of a frustrated, bitter person who had such great hopes for humanity. And the frustrations of not being taken seriously was truly only her own limitations of her not respecting herself enough. It was more than enough, but her hopes and dreams were so gigantic. She would never be able to have seen all of that in fruition. So there is a challenge there for her, and she regrets nothing. Everything that she did was purposeful. She wanted to experience a more interesting dynamic, where she had more freedom to express herself and throw some temper tantrums. Because the last time she reincarnated, it was such a life of discipline, that she kind of thought, well, I'm doing such great work, I might as well just tweak up the ego and the personality more, to fully just have fun with it. And she did. She did. She did.
So was the monk aspect of Alice the one who had the connection with the Tibetan Dwal Kul?
Yes, we see that there was, it is because she had open access basically to that life. When she meditated through, it's like her subconscious. So she was able to profoundly connect into that past lifetime, which was, it is, see if we can, so we want to say it was, as you know, you are an extension of source, and then you have your higher self, and then extensions upon extensions upon extensions to get to Alice. But we want to say there was a breakaway from when she had completed her cycle here, and she had become ascended master. That ascended master kind of is now connected to source in a different way. It closes the circle of the cycle, and then now from that ascended master's position, that is created a newer, stronger connection from the higher self to Alice. So basically, she has got much more of a direct connection to source and the information that she needed, because she is only one step away from her higher self versus the extensions upon extensions upon extensions upon extensions. So she does have, when she is not in her tantrums and when she is more focused and not distracted by her 3D life drama, when she's actually focusing on her work, she does get very good information. But then she's trying to understand it herself. So sometimes when she gets the big information, her approach to understanding it then is come from her conscious mind. And then her ego gets put in there a little bit. So the information does get diffused once she tries to write it down and explain it. And we want to use this word very purposefully. She wanted to mansplain the inspiration and information she got to humanity, because ultimately she does have more male energy than female energy. But she wanted to embody the female for many purposes. We understand that wasn't a direct answer to you. Can we clarify anything further?
I would like to go back to the spiritual hierarchy subject. It was noted from your writings that this is about the inner government of the planet, and I was curious if that hierarchy has changed since your time on Earth, and what you could tell me about that particular group. What's it made up of, who the beings are, where they come from, that kind of thing.
Oh, so I was referring to what you would probably call the Galactic Federation. Does that resonate with you?
I wondered if that was the same. In your writings, it was referred to as just simply the spiritual hierarchy.
Right. Okay. Yes. So it is what you would term now as the Galactic Federation, or just the galactics or the collectives. So it is all the beings that are here to help, all the subconsciouses, or that are still connected to this planet because of the beings that are here right now. So it is about, I guess, as you know, every soul really originates from the same aged, unaging ever for internal, sorry, not internal, internal, no, trying to say, source is an unaged but always growing phenomenon. It is a substance, shall we say, of conscious collective minds. And so ultimately you're all the same age because you all are from the same source. You all originate from it. But you have different experiences that give you the value of more or less. The more experiences you have, the more you have. And so instead of saying you're 1,000,000 years old, we will say you've got 1,000,000 experiences. And so we want to say that all of the beings who have had the higher number of experiences are naturally up the ladder of the hierarchy. And so the more experiences each being has, the more advanced they are in this. It's not about age as such, because it's just, we don't count like that. So it's based on experiences. So the more advanced experienced beings, that they are more on the totem pole, shall we say, of the hierarchy. And then it goes down to at the moment, we could say right now, because of your belief of you just being this one person right now, even though you know that you've had other lifetimes, but your perception of your experiences, because that's all you can hold and retain right now is your experiences. So you are at the bottom of the totem pole in this lifetime experience now, because that's all you can retain. Alice had more than that because she could tap into and retain the other master lifetime where she was an ascended master, because she had already graduated from this planet with all of the experiences that this planet has to offer. And so you would assume, but not correctly, that, say, for example, all the Arcturians were the bigger advanced, bigger experienced beings. But that's not always going to be the case. You'll have some young Arcturians and some older Arcturians, and it goes with all of the other species as well. And so it cannot be truly a labeled list of who is the most higher species beings there. It is an individual case basis of who has been created, at what point, and what experiences have they gained through all of that. And so this is a perspective that my subconscious is able to explain to you now, which is slightly different from how I was assuming it as Alice, trying to say and try to pull everything together into nice little boxes and to explain what I was experiencing when I was in my meditative states.
Oh, thank you for that. That's very interesting. So my question regarding the spiritual hierarchy, has any of its purposes changed since you are on the planet? In terms of how they are supporting humanity?
No, they have always been consistently supporting humanity, but my assumptions and the way that I articulated their roles may have changed because I was using my conscious mind to explain that. And so their roles will always be their roles, and they are supporting us through the evolution of humanity. So what humanity needs will be provided for, and there's really not that much change truly when you look at the scope of how humans are treating humans and how humans are still holding on to a lot of trauma from the past and working through a reaction rather than common sense and in a more neutral, balanced state of emotions. So my spin on things can be outdated fractionally because of that slant of adding my conscious mind and my assumptions of the beings that I did connect with. I put them into boxes and assumed that they were all the same. So my experiences with what I now know was Saturnians and Palladians, I just assumed that they were all alike in some regards. And of course, that was a big assumption for me. And the roles that they were doing, it was a lot for me to be able to fine tune. I was trying to make sense of it myself. I was growing with my own work as well. I could definitely say that there was almost a parallel link between myself and Dolores Cannon and the way that we were processing this information. I was using my own body to be able to meditate and connect, and Dolores was using other people's bodies to be able to get them into a deep state of relaxation to be able to connect. So there is very similar things there, but it is of course challenging when you just have bite-sized pieces of certain information and you are dealing with a million-piece puzzle, and each day you'll get maybe a new piece. And so it is about me trying to explain everything that I got, and I was trying to make some leaps of gaps of information, and it was making sense to me, and I was very firm with my beliefs. But of course, every time I believed I got it and I understood it, then something new would come along that would kind of re-alter everything I had previously once thought. And so I was wanting to upgrade myself, but instead of writing different versions of the same book, as I grew and understood what everything actually did mean, and see it from a different perspective. So it was it's hard when you're writing a book back then to not be able to upgrade it as much as you wish, plus then having to see so much more of the information and try and capture that and be able to translate that from senses and expressions in a different body, out of body state, to then be able to translate it all into feelings and words and descriptions. Very challenging to do that when I did not have someone sitting right beside me telling me exactly what to write and to explain it. My books were really like diaries and journals of me trying to map out for everyone, including myself, what actually is going on here, and sharing my understanding of all of that.
Well, it was quite advanced information, and of course, highly diverse. I'm curious to ask you if there is a difference between what you termed solar angel from an archangel. Can you tell me if there's a difference, or in what a solar angel is?
Well, yes, a solar angel can be absolutely termed as an archangel. Solar meaning that it was from our solar system, and an angel that came that wanted to connect through. So I actually didn't realize it was just a higher version of myself that was trying to connect with me. So I had many. You could say I had a solar angel experience, which took me from the comfort of my relaxed state and brought me into a new body. When I was 18, that got my attention. And so I could say that I am talking to one of my solar angels that I experienced in my lifetime today, now talking to you. So I had no reference, no dictionary to be able to define what I was experiencing. I merely had Bibles and some mythology to be able to use the words that I wanted to describe what I was experiencing. So yes, it is It is all high dimensional beings that you could really class as angels. It is not on their CVs. It's not on their. Um, they are not even. They don't even really label themselves as angels. It's just advanced beings that are not in the physical 3D.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Do you have a message for humanity now from your perspective?
Mm.
Um,
Yes, absolutely, I do. And my biggest message would be make sure when you're following someone that you're not following their ego. You're not following their conscious minds, fiddling in the pieces of the puzzle. That is your job. I want you to stop and think about the things that you are being exposing yourself to be able to know the difference between whether it is truly a higher perspective being or versus someone who may just have just as many triggers as you, just as many issues with you, just as much blocks and limitations and lack of self-love as you, and writing and saying things that you are needing to hold on to a leader or an influencer to be able to grow and learn from. And so I'm wanting you all to be remembered that this is all a self journey to be able to go within and know your true intuition, know your true wisdom, know that you are so connected to your other dimensional beings. You are not the age you think you are, and you are not just the experiences you think you are. You are a combination of the universe who is loved so dearly, and we are always here to try and help you to be able to navigate through the ego and the fear and the limitations that some humans are accidentally infusing in with their wisdom. And so we are now talking to everyone. This is a collective. This is a collective that has humanity's best interests at heart, like all the collectives do. But they're just wanting to lovingly remind you that all the answers are within you. And you know when you are using ego, you know when you are using something that is not of the purest conditional love of self. And so this is about you empowering you. And you can't do it when you are following people who are in fear. So we know that you know what you should be doing, and so we want to leave it with a higher, loving embrace. Because there are so many people that are trying to truly help and be stepping stones for humanity, for you to empower yourself in your spirituality journey, remembering it is your journey alone and you cannot drag anyone else along with your journey, even though it may feel lonely sometimes. This is purposeful. As soon as you empower yourself, as soon as you love yourself completely, you'll suddenly realize the world is full of like-minded people. But when you are constantly seeking love and support and wisdom from others, you will get lost. You will get lost within yourself. You will get lost in the world. So we are wanting you to enjoy the way it feels to have profound love of self and to empower yourself and not be so seeking and needy of others. Because when you completely empower yourself, then you are attracting others like you. And when you are of lack, you attract lack. And so those people who are trying to seek those friends who are like-minded, you are still seeking outward. And when you have found yourself within, you have the answers to the universe, really.
it's beautiful. Thank you for that. Alice, and I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for the wonderful library that you left for humanity. It's very expansive material, and it's just, I'm very grateful to you for the work that you did, especially as a female. So
Yes. Well, you're more than welcome. I am so happy to have been able to help humanity. I do know that now, looking at it from the bigger perspective, now as past, and looking at my life in its totality. I did go the harder way about it. I could have been a little bit more softer with my approach. And I did find that I was so connected and that I could see easily how to resolve the problems of the world, but the world just seemed so stubborn. So that was so frustrating. So that was something I couldn't let go. I had such high expectations of myself and humanity that it felt like a personal insult for me that people would not want to grow and advance themselves with this information that I had worked so hard on. But I have already explained that. And so this is something obviously I still need to let go and accept that humanity is on its own course. But now, from the position that I am in, understanding that humanity still hasn't, it's still a slow evolution, and it is all fine. The energy on the planet right now is phenomenal. It would be so helpful if people were reading my books with the energy that's on this planet right now. You'd be so much more connected. So this is not a plug for my selling of my books, but there is still truth and integrity and honor in my work, and you'll be able to see it. But of course, the words that I have used to label and describe things are not necessarily things that have followed and gone through. Almost like my words to describe and to label things are almost old-fashioned now, and there are people that are trying to show how clever they are in this field, so they're creating new words and new titles for things that really don't need even new titles for things, because no true advanced being really acknowledges that they have a name. Truly, you may think, oh well, we call an archangel all the time, by name, and they come and support us. And I'm saying to you, you're not calling on Archangel Michael as such. You're calling on the energy of him, that being. And so he will respond to his name, but he does not refer to himself. I want to make a joke and say if he was at a party, he wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I'm Archangel Michael, what's your name? No, he doesn't introduce himself to people as Archangel Michael, because he's just a frequency of energy at this sort of point. So he is an advanced being. But of course, he doesn't mind people calling him Archangel Michael. It's not a bad thing. But he does not refer to himself or call himself as that. That is what humans are calling him. And so he will honor humans who are wanting him to be helpful. But it's the intention that you say when you think of his name and speak his name, that is the energy that you're summoning in to come and help you. And so the archangels are saying, keep using us, we are fine, we have no problems with you calling us, but it's merely stating that we do not need to be called angels. We do not need to be called solar angels or archangels. This is ego for people who need it. This is labeling and boxing people. And often when you call on an archangel, you'll get the most appropriate beings to help support you. It may just be your higher self or your subconscious and other beings and other guides. But you'll always be supported. But if you feel like you need big protection, that is what you're calling out. You think you're calling out Archangel Michael, but the reality is you're calling out all the beings who know and can protect you for what you're going through and support you and guide you, knowing very well your life contract, knowing what you need to be experiencing. So it's a collection. It's a collection of a collection. The universe is always here to help you, but there is not a headquarters of archangels that are just waiting for someone to summons them. It's not quite like that. So for people who still feel like they need to know that there is a workforce superhero team that is at their beckoning call, yes, absolutely, you're right. But the reality is it's energy and protection, and it is confirming your manifestations of what you're calling and asking upon. It's about belief systems, knowing that when you call on for protection, you'll get it. And it's comforting yourself knowing that there is bigger forces out there from you that are always there to help support you. So there is always support in the universe when you call upon it with integrity and true intent.
Thank you so much for your message, and thank you for chatting with us today. It's been a pleasure.
We're always happy to try and explain from our perspective the systems behind the systems, and we are always happy to try to get this information out the best way we can. We understand many people need to have this information and these descriptions. We also understand that it is an important time for humanity to be self-empowered. So we hope that people who need to listen to this can resonate with it and apply the information, knowing that they are truly protected and supported while they're going through their big experiences in this human lifetime.
Thank you so much.